In both the 1920s and today's times, women have played an equal role in entertainment and have enjoyed the same political rights as men.
However, women in the 1920s had fewer economic opportunities than the women of today.
The 1920s marked the first period that women played an active role in the world of entertainment. They were dancing, wearing flapper dresses, and acting in silent films. Jazz music and swing dancing were popular forms of entertainment. Art and poetry flourished. The Harlem Renaissance created great female poets and entertainers of color, like Zora Neale Hurston and Georgia Douglas Johnson. It was a great time to be a young woman. Women's roles in today's entertainment are similar. They're allowed to participate to the same extent as men. Pop stars like Adele have gained millions of fans around the world. Beyoncé is America's wealthiest self-made woman with a net worth of $350 million. Women are huge contributors to the world's entertainment scene in movies, fashion, music, and art. While women only make up 7% of filmmakers today, this number is quickly changing. Just like in the 1920s, women are forging their own way in the arena of entertainment.
In the 1920s, the passage of the 19th Amendment changed American women's political rights forever. They were now able to vote and make their voices heard in the democratic process. Leaders like Carrie Chapman Catt led the crusade to allow Congress to pass the amendment. Suffragists gained momentum from this early success and used it to push for more equality in all areas of society. The American Women's Suffrage Association happily became the League of Women Voters in 1920. In 1922, a woman named Rebecca Latimer Felton was appointed to the Senate, becoming the first woman to serve in Congress. This was a major breakthrough for women's display of political power in the 1920s. However, the National Women's Party proposed an equal rights amendment that went unpassed in 1923. Today, women have the same political rights that they had in the 1920s. Women today have been allowed the opportunity to pursue roles in political office just as women did before. Most recently, in the 2016 election, women progressed greatly as Hillary Clinton was nominated as the Democratic nominee in the presidential election. Much like women in the 1920s, women today are continuing to fight for political justice.
Women in the 1920s were not allowed to work the same jobs as men. Most women could not earn professional degrees and worked from home. Very few were college educated, and among those who were, many were not able to acquire the same employment opportunities as their male counterparts. Those who were employed worked as teachers, secretaries, and factory laborers. They were not paid equally to men. Those who were in the middle and upper classes were expected to stay home as a symbol of wealth. The traditional views on American motherhood changed during this era. Women were expected to learn from doctors, nurses, and educators rather than rely on their own motherly instincts. Although this change affected mothers, it did not change the majority of women's roles in society. Today's times are very different. The number of women enrolled in college has surpassed the number of men since 1980. The number of women entering graduate programs is quickly on the rise. Women are increasing in numbers in the STEM field as well, with some universities even offering incentives specifically for women to become involved in STEM. Women are closing the wage gap as well. Whereas the average woman was legally allowed to be paid much less than her male counterpart in the 1920s, women of today are legally entitled equal compensation. According to national averages, a woman now makes 91 cents for the male's dollar. Many women have retained their traditional role as mother with the added responsibility of running the household. Some women perform this job along with working outside the home as well. Finally, women can now be a part of the United States military. In the 1920s, very few women were a part of the military, with a few that were allowed being mostly nurses. Today provides very different economic opportunities for women than the opportunities afforded in the 1920s. Women are becoming better educated, closing the wage gap, and engaging in careers that women in the 1920s could only have dreamed of. Women in the 1920s were not allowed to pursue the same economic opportunities as men. They were paid less and expected to maintain certain societal expectations regarding the workforce. This differs from today's women, where we have the freedom to pursue any career of our choosing with equal wages. Women in the 1920s and women today are similar to the extent that they both have great influence in the field of entertainment and are allowed the same political opportunities. We have more in common than we thought.
Yeah, I go.